Hello everyone, my name is Tokir Ahmed and I am basically here to give you a presentation, basically a documentary about the climate changes. I am with my four member of the group to describe the importance, the causes and effect all above of climate changes. To understand what is climate changes, we have to understand what is basically climate. Climate is basically the average weather in some places in over many years. It is basically the change in weather from place to place. Climate change is basically, if we talk about climate change, it is basically in a shift in those average conditions. The rapid climate changes now we are saying in those times is caused by human using oil, gas, coal for their homes, factories and transport. When these types of fossil fuels, basically they are the fossil fuels which are used in home factories, when they are burned they release greenhouse effect, mostly carbon dioxide. These types of fossil fuels trap the heat coming from the sun and they cause global warming and cause the temperature to rise. Climate change is basically the area of the environmental science. It is basically a science in the field of environment. Climate depend upon many figures such as temperature, moisture, wind, precipitation. These types of factor decrease and increase cause the climate to be changed. Global climate change is basically equal to describes trends and variation in Earth's climate. If we talk about global warming, it is different from climate changes, but same in some ways. Now, to talk about global warming, we have to understand what is global warming. Global warming is basically the long-term warming of the planet's overall temperature. Through this warming trends has been going on for a long time. It pays a significantly increase in the last year due to the burning of fossil fuels such as coal, oil and gas. As the human population has increased, the volume of this fossil fuel also been burned. Fossil fuel include coal or gas have turned you and burning them cause greenhouse effect in Earth atmosphere. Greenhouse effect is caused when the sun rays penetrate the atmosphere and when the heat is reflected off to the surface cannot escape back into the space. Gases produced by the burning fossil fuels prevent the heat from leaving the atmosphere. These gases produces carbon dioxide, chloroform, carbon, water vapors, methane and nitrogen oxide. The atmosphere of Earth has always acted like a greenhouse effect to capture the heat coming from the sun and ensuring that the sun has enjoyed the temperatures that prevented the emergence of life form as we knew them, included humans. Now, if we talk about the renewable energies that affect the climate change or stop the climate changes, renewable energies means that the energy that cannot be made again and again. To understand what is renewable energies and how can we need to stop them from climate changes, let us from the above example that we need to increase the renewable energy at least 9 4. This means that if we increase the renewable energy, it will be effective for the climate to be stopped, climate changes to be stopped. It is avoid the worst climate changes effect. Every watt that we shift from fossil fuel to renewable like wind power or solar power is a step in the right direction. As I have told you, the renewable energy that cannot be remade. Clean energy and technological innovation are not only helping mitigate climate change but also create jobs and support economic growth in community across the world. Now, if we talk about what happen if we do nothing to stop, basically, if we don't use renewable energy, stops greenhouse effect, global warming, that what will happen to our atmosphere or to our surroundings? If we do not take further action to stop climate impact, we are already experiencing the planet's likely to be global temperature rise by 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. This means that if we do not take any step regarding this time, then the temperature will daily increase by 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. This type of warming could lead to different actions like melting of ice sheet in Greenland and Antarctica, causing sea level rise that would flood most major global coastals. Every day that goes by, we are releasing carbon into the atmosphere and releasing our planetary risk. More scientists agree that we need to begin reducing emission to give our plant and production the future that is least problem. This is all from me. Now the next member of my will explain you about the effects and the causes of climate change. Thank you so much.
Hi, Laiba Kenny will be talking about the effects of climate change. Climate change in general will leave a huge impact on the world. Some effects will be long term as they would heavily damage the planet, whereas some will be short term as man made entities will collapse and they can be rebuilt again. The long term effects of climate change would be large scale. Heat waves will result in the ice caps and the glaciers melting, the sea levels would rise, cities would be flooded, countries and even whole continents would be at the risk of sinking. This would cause mass evacuation projects, and people would seek refuge in high rise and landlocked countries, overburdening the already full land, which would lead to more deforestation and basically cause unrest and worldwide delocalization. Along with this, the increase in water levels of the lakes and other tributaries would cause large scale erosion, wind, soil, and water. This would lead to landslides, and landslides could damage the homes of the local people, as well as destroy the homes of animals and birds living in the trees or the general vicinity. Destruction of their habitats will obviously come with loss of a lot of lives. In other areas, circumstances can be different. Small lakes and water bodies, which are both potentially a source of water for animals and humans alike, will dry out. Moreover, the water bodies inhabited with marine life, which was potentially a source of food for the humans, will no longer exist, leaving lesser food for the humans and causing wide scale death among the water dwellers. The people living in deserts and other areas with low rainfall will be most severely affected, as each day they'll have to walk more and more for water and even relocate altogether. Right now, climate change causes natural disasters like droughts, hurricanes, and tsunamis. All three of these have a direct impact on food production, as all three can affect the growth of crops for the better or for the worse. Climate change will cause variable rain patterns, which means that one area will be getting more rain than the other. This will change in how forests grow, as in one place there could be a dense forest while another could be dying due to lack of water. More rain in an area also means more pests due to the growth in vegetation, and the increase in pests could damage the crops severely, potentially triggering a famine. Less rain in an area will mean droughts and the soil drying out, causing the plants and crops to die, potentially triggering a famine as well. The climate it is changing, and we are gradually adapting to this change. What needs to be understood is that the weather will change drastically, and vast scale of losses associated with climate change that one has to try to comprehend and accept. Adaptation will be a million times harder than helping save the environment right now. Our destruction is inevitable, and we will need to start taking actions to reduce the vulnerability to its impacts.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Ahmad Akhtar. Today I am going to present the topic causes of climate change. The first cause is greenhouse effect. Some gases in Earth's atmosphere trap heat and stop it escaping into space. We call these gases greenhouse gases. These gases act as a warming blanket around the Earth known as the greenhouse effect. Greenhouse gases come from both human and natural sources. Gases like carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide naturally occur in the atmosphere. Others, such as chlorofluorocarbons, are only produced by human activity. The greenhouse effect is critical to our survival. In fact, without greenhouse gases, Earth would be about 30 degrees colder than it is today. Without greenhouse gases and their warming effect, we wouldn't be able to survive. The second cause is industrial revolution. Since the industrial revolution, we have been adding more and more greenhouse gases into the air, trapping even more heat. Instead of keeping Earth at a warm, stable temperature, the greenhouse effect is heating the planet at a much faster rate. We call this the enhanced greenhouse effect, and its main cause of the climate change. Manufacturing and industry produce emission mostly from burning fossil fuels to produce energy for making things like cement, iron, steel, electronics, plastics, clothes, and other goods. Mining and other industrial processes also release gases, as does the construction industry. Machines used in the manufacturing process often run on a coal, oil, or gas, and some materials like plastic are made from chemicals sourced from fossil fuels. The manufacturing industry is one of the largest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions worldwide. The third cause is deforestation. Cutting of trees and natural habitats is known as deforestation. Each year, approximately 12 million acres of forest are destroyed. Forests remove and store carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Cutting them down means that carbon dioxide builds up quicker since there are no trees to absorb it. Not only that, trees release the carbon dioxide they store when we burn them. In the next slide, you will see a pictorial description of how presence of trees affects the temperature. The next cause is volcanic activities. Volcanoes have a mixed effect on our climate. Eruptions produce aerosol particles that cool Earth. They also release carbon dioxide, which warms it. Volcanoes produce 50 times less carbon dioxide than humans do, so we know they are not leading the cause of global warming. On the top of this, cooling is the dominant effect of volcanic eruptions, not warming.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Ibrahim and I am here to give you presentation on things you can do to prevent climate change. Climate change has already begun to impact our planet in more ways than we can think. Temperatures continue to rise throughout the planet and we are experiencing changes in precipitation patterns as we have never seen before. The main cause of these catastrophic effects on our planet is pollution. Fortunately, there are always things that we can do to fight against climate change. Saving the environment starts with us, and it is our responsibility to act against these terrible changes to preserve the planet for future generations. The first point is make your commute green. Millions of people drive to work every day. It is simply unavoidable in our modern day society. However, the downside to this is that millions of cars emit greenhouse gases that destroy our atmosphere. Vehicle emissions are a close second when it comes to the top cause of climate change. There are always other options that you can utilize to make your commute to work eco-friendly. For starters, taking public transportations to work is a great way to cut out emissions. Riding your bike to work is also incredibly helpful to the environment and is a great method to get exercise. The next one is be more conservative with energy usage. Becoming more efficient, Becoming more energy efficient is a great way to prevent pollution. It causes the power plants to expend less energy that can lead to the production of greenhouse gases. This means that you should do what you can to cut down on energy usage in your household. Make sure to turn off lights and unplug devices that you are not using anymore when you are done with them. Replace your light bulbs with energy efficient light bulbs to help you save electricity too. Next point is get active and vote. One of the best ways to improve climate change too is to help those who will fight against it get into office. This means voting for legislation and politicians that aid against the detrimental effects on climate change. Many corporations have politicians on their payroll and use them to lobby against legislation that would require more regulations against them. Voting the right people into office will help pass legislation that allows us to fight against these corporations that are mainly to blame for climate change. Next one is recycle. Manufacturing plants emit a large number of greenhouse gases per year. It is unavoidable in the production of goods that we use on a regular basis. However, a cleaner alternative would be to invest in recycling. Recycling is a cost effective and eco friendly process that eliminates waste and doesn't emit greenhouse gases into the environment. Be sure to collect your discarded paper, glass, plastic, and electronics to your local recycling center. The professionals will take these items to a processing plant where they will be remade into other recycled materials. Thank you.
I am Javeria Ishtiaq and I am going to discuss the few more things to prevent climate change. First, educate yourself and others. The importance of educating others about climate change cannot be overstated in our society. There are many platforms for us to utilize that can allow us to spread our message easily. Whether you use word of mouth or social media, there are always ways to educate others on what climate change is doing to our planet. You can help protect the planet by educating others about the danger of climate change and how to act against it. Encourage the use of renewable energies. Renewable energy usually tops the list of changes the world. Electricity from renewable resources such as solar, geothermal, and wind generally does not contribute to climate change or local air pollution since no fuels are combusted. Focusing your efforts to spread awareness about renewable energy is the best way to create a positive impact in your society. By informing others about how renewable energy is better than utilizing fossil fuels, you will sway others into investing in the idea. Protect forests like Amazon. Forests are a stabilizing force for the climate. They regulate ecosystems, protect biodiversity, play an integral part in the carbon cycle, support livelihoods, and supply goods and services that can drive sustainable growth. Forest's role in climate change is twofold. They act as both as a cause and as a solution from greenhouse gas emission. Around 25% of global emission come from land sector, the second largest source of greenhouse gas emission after energy sector. About as both as a cause and as a solution from greenhouse gas emission. Around 25% of global emission come from land sector, the second largest source of greenhouse gas emission after energy sector. About half of these come from deforestation and forest degradation. Forests are also one of the most important solutions to addressing the effects of climate change. Forests are crucial in this fight, and protecting them is an important climate solution. Cutting down forests on industrial scale destroys giant trees which could be sucking up huge amount of carbon. Yet companies destroy forests to make way for animal farming, soya or plant oil plantation. Government can stop them by making better law. Protect the ocean. The ocean is being disproportionately impacted by increasing carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas emission from human activities. Degradation of coastal and marine ecosystem threaten the physical, economic and food security of local communities as well as resources for global businesses. Climate change weaken the ability of ocean and coast to provide critical ecosystem service such as food, carbon storage, oxygen generation, as well as support nature-based solution to climate change adaptation. Oceans also absorb large amount of carbon dioxide from our atmosphere, which helps to keep our climate stable. But many are overfished, used for oil and gas drilling, or threatened by deep sea mining. Protecting ocean and life in them is ultimately a way to protect from climate changes.